Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day so much appreciates and enjoys. Celebrating the people of coastal Mississippi, the leaders, the people who are making this place such a great place to live, work, and play. Have a very, very special guest that we're going to be introducing here in just a second. But I want to read something to you. On the show yesterday, I talked about my visit over to Ocean Springs, Singer River Hospital in Ocean Springs, and I met with folks in the ICU and the ER. We talked about it with Stacey Pickering yesterday. Just unbelievably tough situation to watch in the ICU. If you missed that, 16 ICU rooms, 16 patients in critical condition, all on ventilators, and then of course there are the surgical ICUs the same way. They have people on ventilators down in the ER. It's unbelievably difficult. And when I posted I posted pictures of Buddy Gazier, Allison Plunk, and Candy Riley, some of the heroes on the front line. A friend by the name of Kathy Legg posted this, and I just think it's beautiful. And I think it's something we ought to all think about. And I think it's actually a great segue into our special guest today. So here's what Kathy said. These beautiful people that remain steadfast under formidable circumstances cannot be heralded or compensated enough. Not sure how we will ever adequately merit their sacrifices or show our appreciation for them. They are weary, grief-stricken soldiers deep in the medical trenches day after day, facing situations that the rest of us can only imagine. Dedicated to saving lives, they find themselves losing ground and losing hope. Pray as you never have before that God will preserve and protect them and energize them and encourage them, as well as the other tragic victims suffering and dying around them. And her note goes on from there, but gosh, was that beautifully said. And then, of course, the outpouring of support from my family with the challenges we had with my granddaughter, Amelia continues to do extraordinarily well, and we thank God for that. But one of the things that's such a blessing, a foundation for the note from Kathy and the outpouring of support from listeners and friends about my granddaughter is that it's all sort of grounded in a warm and important, faithful prayer and faithful foundation. I'm Catholic, and I'm proud to be, and I'm so happy to have that faith to be able to lean on. But I can't tell you how important that is to us, and it's just part of the culture here in coastal Mississippi. And with that said, let me turn now to a very, very special guest who's going to be in town. Actually, he's going to be visiting the coast for the Mississippi Association of Self-Insurers. He just wrote a book, a really important book, and he'll be actually doing a book signing on Friday morning in the Pass at Pass Books on Cat Island Coffee. But you know him. I don't have to tell you much about him, but let me welcome to Coast Vue, Ken Starr. Ken, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Ricky. Thank you so much, and we're so happy to hear about your beautiful granddaughter, and what a great note from Kathy. That was so inspiring. So thank you again for having me on.
It is. It was good to chat with you while we're waiting for the show to get started. And I told you that your book, Religious Liberty in Crisis, I haven't had the opportunity to read it, but I've read a number of reviews. I have a sense of what the book is about. The backdrop for what's happening in America certainly led to you, inspired you to write this book. But since you wrote your book, it seems like with each passing day, we get another reminder about why sort of the core message of your book is so darn important, as you saw how I started the show out. But when you look at the condition with Afghanistan and all the other things that are happening in America today, it's a little bit almost like divine intervention that you wrote this book in this moment, isn't it?
Well, thank you for saying that, and it certainly is a critical moment for us in American history. And I'm so glad that you lifted up Afghanistan, because our hearts are obviously very heavy in light of the collapse of the government. Perhaps it was expected, but certainly it came as a shock to the American people. And now what we're seeing are reports about terrible, terrible things happening to religious minorities in Afghanistan, including, of course, the Christian community, searching for those on the part of the Taliban that don't adhere to their vision of what we are called to be as human beings, and to persecute them. And the ultimate persecution of taking lives. And who would have thought that in the 21st century? Because in the wake of World War II and the terrible atrocities, of course, in Hitler's regime, the world community came together and, led by, among others, Eleanor Roosevelt, articulated a vision of what humanity is at its best in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And one key part of that guaranteed religious freedom to all persons as a basic part of their humanity. So this book is really about human dignity. Part of human dignity is our ability to be who we feel called to be and to respond to the call of faith that is heavy on our hearts. So the book began, and I'll just summarize it this way: during the pandemic, when I saw what was happening during the pandemic here at home, which I realize continues to be so very, very concerning with the Delta variant and just the conditions that you described in Kathy's remarkable note, and the healthcare providers and so forth. But it was that it was an impetus for me to do the book, to sit down and start doing the book, because religious liberty was coming under assault right here in America.
We could see it. We could definitely see it. I mean, could you have ever imagined, maybe you did, that we would hit such a volatile moment where so much division is dividing this country? I talk a lot about, the condition that led to this, but one of I came from the media side and was incredibly involved in the digital media space for a number of years, and the way that Facebook's algorithms work and the way that artificial intelligence works. I think when you take this already perfect storm and then you add social media to it, and feeding people's Facebook feeds with so much information that makes it appear that everyone agrees with their divided view, it further divides America. But did you ever imagine that we would have such a perfect storm?
No, I really did not see the perfect storm coming, but it has hit, and it has hit with a vengeance. I think when we look back in time, and we're about to mark the 20th anniversary of 9/11. 9/11 was, of course, a time, terrible, tragic time, a disaster for the American people. But at the same time, it was a unifying experience. It was a modern day Pearl Harbor that, oh my word, we have work to do. But part of the seeds, I think, of the pressures on religious freedom were planted in the aftermath of 9/11, because after all, those who took so many innocent lives did so in the name of religious faith. And so there was a bit of an outpouring in that first decade of this century of, well, let's take perhaps a second look at faith communities and so forth. And certainly what I think is being lost in this age of polarization, Ricky, is what the churches do. And I'm focusing on the Christian faith, but obviously other faith communities join in as well. And that's what I call, and what a Harvard sociologist calls, American grace. The churches do so many important things in their own communities, including around the world. Who was first in the Haitian earthquake, right, to provide comfort and solace? Many times it's churches or parachurch organizations. And so we've tended, I think, to overlook the remarkable and positive things that churches and religious institutions and communities are doing day in and day out, including responding. It's one of the things I note in the book, that when COVID hit, some of the volunteers to Race to New York, which was so hard hit at the time, were people of faith who said, we want to live out our faith and go do what needs to be done there in Central Park and the other makeshift hospital responsibilities, and so to carry out these responsibilities. These are volunteers from around the country, and they were motivated by their religious faith.
Ken, I often talk about former President H.W. Bush, 1,000 points of light, because here in coastal Mississippi, having been ground zero for the worst natural disaster in American history, Hurricane Katrina, we got to see the role that religion can play. We got to see the importance of volunteers, and oftentimes it was the faith-based groups from all over the country that were filling those gaps. I remember the North Carolina Baptist men's group that came down here and built houses for months and months and months. I mean, that restores, when you have a situation like that, it restores your confidence in how faith brings us together. And we, Baptists and Catholics and Jewish people all working together to do great things for a community. The role that religion plays in our community cannot be underestimated. But unfortunately, these days, our religious freedoms are something we talk about more often than we should be, frankly. But when we come back, I want to get into some more about why the Constitution, why this whole notion of freedom of religion is so important, which is really at the basis of your book. This is Ken Starr. You know him well. We're honored to have him here on Coast Vue, and we'll see you after this break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I'm so thrilled and honored, frankly, to have Ken Starr. He's served in so many important roles over his career. Most of us know him well. He couldn't have written Religious Liberty and Crisis at a better moment in our nation's history, and I've really enjoyed visiting with him in between during the breaks. So let's just come back to the book. When we sort of went to break, I mentioned that this whole notion of freedom of religion, the role the Constitution plays in sort of preserving these incredibly important, enduring values that we hold as Americans. But boy, it's important, isn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, to the founding generation, there is something imperfect about the Constitution, and that is, where are the rights that we enjoy by virtue of what the Declaration of Independence put so eloquently, by our Creator, that we're endowed by our Creator with these inalienable rights, and among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to the founding generation, religious liberty was right up there at the tippy top. When you look at the First Amendment, we should all have those First Amendment rights very firmly in mind. What is the very first right? Well, it's freedom of religion, the freedom to be ensuring that the government is not taking control of religion, the non-establishment of religion. But then that which has become very controversial now, and I talk about this at length in the book, and that's freedom of conscience, the free exercise of religion. And one of the things that I'm saying in the book is that whatever may be happening in the culture, the Supreme Court of the United States over these past 40 years has really rallied to the cause of freedom of conscience, free exercise of religion, keeping the government out of religious and ecclesiastical matters in a very admirable way. Sometimes the court, of course, famously is divided. Think of the Mississippi abortion case that's headed up to the Supreme Court, as that now there will be argued in the fall. We don't expect a unanimous decision in that sensitive area. In contrast, in the religious freedom area, the court is frequently unanimous. And one of the things I want this book to be is a tool for every American who cares about our culture of freedom to be informed about what these great principles are that affect all of us, regardless of our membership or non-membership in a faith community. And so one of the principles that I've set out, it's the very first one I articulate, is the principle of religious autonomy. That is to say, the government cannot be on the backs of religious, including church schools, Christian schools, Jewish schools, and the like. They have the right to hire and, frankly, to fire teachers and those who are involved in inculcating and transmitting the faith. That's just an illustration of what the book is all about, written 170 pages for lay people, for grandparents to read to their children, parents to read to their children, and for us all to really celebrate America's culture of freedom.
As you talk, I can't help but think about all of my kids went to a Catholic school, and my grandkids now do that as well. And my daughter is a teacher, 6th grade teacher, and she's a religion teacher on top of other, teaching other subjects as well. But within that framework, this whole notion of freedom of religion, as you just so well put it, is so darn important. I want to explain, because there's so many aspects to your book. We probably should have penciled out an hour, but you were going to be in town, and I wanted to make sure we got some time for you before your visit here in the next day or so. But again, there's so many different aspects to this. But one thing that you talked about is this freedom of consciousness. That is a big deal right now. America, independent thinking and consciousness we're under attack. And cancel culture seems to be this kind of thing that everybody wants to lock onto. But underneath it, the principles that are driving it creates tremendous concern. And you actually spent the whole chapter talking about that. So from your point of view, talk about that.
Right, and let's use, since you mentioned Catholic schools, let's talk about a particular case that illustrates this freedom of conscience. We're conscious people. That's part of our humanity. It separates us out from other avenues. We are unique. We have individual human dignity, and part of that is to have conscience. This is what is right. This is what is wrong. And so I want to follow that. And the example that I think is so powerful comes out of the Catholic community out of Philadelphia. And once again, the Supreme Court here was unanimous in saying the Catholic social services in Philadelphia, it's a matter of the conscience of this group, did not have to provide placement services for these precious foster children with non-traditional families. The court was unanimous in concluding that. I think people were expecting the court would be deeply divided because of the culture wars and so forth. Another example that the court vindicated the freedom of conscience was, and it's very controversial, not everybody's going to agree with what the Supreme Court did, but the Supreme Court struck a really powerful blow in favor of freedom of conscience of a baker, a design baker, not just baking cakes, but using his artistry as an artist to, in fact, create special custom cakes to celebrate special occasions. And this baker named Jack Phillips in suburban Denver, Colorado, was unwilling, as a matter of conscience, to design a cake to honor a same-sex wedding. Now, same-sex weddings are permissible under our Constitution, but he could not, given his religious views, honor that. He would sell. He did not discriminate on the basis of the status of individuals, which said, I'm sorry, I cannot bake that cake. It goes all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States, which vindicates his freedom of conscience. That wasn't unanimous, but it was 7-2 in Jack Phillips's favor. And these are very important principles to protect that which has been so important throughout American history, and that is our ability to come to a set of views and to follow those views, even when they may be controversial.
What is interesting is that the whole notion of the cancel culture these days manifests itself by using Twitter and other social media mechanisms to literally cancel people who have a point of view about something. Now, some of those, they said something that probably deserves some pretty serious blowback, but that's not always the case. And these are things we should be really concerned about, shouldn't we?
This is very important to who we are and who we will be in the generations to come, but right here and now. And the cancel culture is a very powerful indicator of the conversation that is underway, the debate that's underway. We have historically had a system that believes in freedom of expression, and that if you disagree with someone, with that person's views, then you disagree, but you protect that person's right to articulate that view. The cancel culture, of course, says, no, if I disagree with your view, I don't want you to articulate it. In fact, it's dangerous for you to express that view. And so we have had an erosion, Ricky, as you have seen, and you're expressing it well, of the culture of freedom, that freedom is the baseline here in the United States, the land of the free. And what this book is designed to do is to really re-articulate this founding vision of liberty is the baseline, including religious liberty, which lies at the heart of so much of who we are as a free people.
Hey, I want to make sure, because we don't have a ton of time left, I want to make sure we cover one really important thing that you mentioned. It really kind of comes back to sort of the practical aspect of your book. So you're a lawyer, you're a former judge. We all know you in the impeachment proceedings around President Clinton. You're former U.S. Solicitor General. When someone thinks that Ken Starr wrote a book about religious freedom, they would expect it to be sort of, an institutional book that would be in a Harvard classroom or whatever. You made a really big point to say that you made it. It's a very practical written book that anyone can read. This is not just for the thinkers in America. This is for anyone who wants to focus and be able to understand why this is an important conversation as it relates to our religious freedom. That was a real big goal of yours, wasn't it?
It was completely the vision that guided me. My editors helped to make sure that this was accessible to people, frankly, with a high school education. And indeed, I had in my mind's eye, who are you writing this for? I mentioned grandparents and parents, but I was also writing it for high school kids. I think junior high kids, middle school kids can understand this as well. I did not want to write a book for lawyers and judges. I hope that they will use it, read it, but it really was for we the people. We the people, and this is very consistent with the vision years ago of Hugo Black, the Supreme Court Justice from yesteryear, who said, things that we do here at the Supreme Court should be written so that they can be accessible to people in the barbershop or the beauty shop, using the terms of old. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a Hugo Black type product that people could say, I'm going to read a chapter. And, I know people, families are reading it aloud over the supper table, maybe after dessert. But that's the idea, to make these principles of liberty accessible, understandable, so that we can also engage in reasoned debate when, let's say, you're up against the cancel culture, and you will have arguments as an American who loves freedom to say, well, there's another side to this. And in fact, I read a book that talks about the unanimous Supreme Court upholding the right of Catholic social services to follow their conscience as an organization.
We're coming to the end of our time together, Ken, but have you been to the Mississippi Gulf Coast before?
I have, yes. No, we love the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we're the friends and guests of Jenny and Kent Nico, who are well known to the Gulf Coast community. They're very dear friends, and we look forward to the return visit.
Yeah, they're terrific, Kent. As you know, in fact, he leads the hospital where my grandchild was admitted, and he and his team did a terrific job of taking care of her. But you're going to be at the Bow. It's going to be beautiful weather, we hope. I think it's going to be raining a little bit, but enjoy your stay here. And listen, I look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate your time.
You bet. This has been Ken Starr. We'll see you right after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
Wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed that conversation with Ken Starr. He's obviously a smart guy. He's a wise man, and he's got such a gentle communication style. And I think it's awesome that he's written a book about religious freedom and liberty. And he's written it in a way that, someone in high school could read it, that parents and grandparents could read it to their kids and grandkids. And I'm looking forward to reading the book. I think it says a lot about who we are as Americans, and it says a whole lot about who we are as coastal Mississippians. And as I talk about on this show all the time, man, we come together in times of crisis. It doesn't matter what our political persuasions are. What usually binds us together is need, but there's a lot of faith involved. There's a lot of at the foundation. There's sort of this religious, foundation that makes us want to help our neighbors, and it's a big deal. And it's great that he's written a book about it. It's great that he's created this opportunity for us to focus in this incredibly divided moment that we're in our nation's history about the role that religious freedom plays in making us better Americans at the end of the day. So now we're going to shift gears and move over to my friend John Rea from Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply Company. John's been on the show before. He's someone I have a lot of respect for. Not only is he a good businessman, he runs that business with his sons Wes and Jake, but he's also incredibly dedicated to the community, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But anyway, good morning to you, John. How you doing?
Good morning, Rick. You're doing fine. Thank you.
So we'll start from the beginning. I'm just curious, how are you guys doing? How's business doing? Have you noticed a change in business since the Delta variant came on us? Sort of give us a sort of state of the affairs there at Gulf Coast Business for Furniture and Office Supply.
Well, Ricky, we're doing well. Naturally, when things started to calm down prior to the new variant coming around, a lot of supply stuff had really slowed down. We were focusing more on our contract furniture and our interior design department, focusing a lot on major bids across the Gulf Coast, a lot of new schools coming up. We're bidding on those projects and winning a lot of those projects. We've got a young lady by the name of Alexia Fold on staff. She is an incredible interior designer. We're able to go in and do just about anything that big boys could do with furniture design. And when we're not selling PPE supplies, we're tackling furniture.
Well, you did a big addition to your business. I remember reading about the grand opening of it. How has that gone for you?
We got through the expansion and the grand opening. Had the mayor, Billy Hughes, come out and do the ribbon cutting. Wonderful event. We raised a lot of money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and we're off and running. Looking forward to what the future holds. Naturally, everything going on right now with this new Delta variant has us very concerned, and we've got our own bouts with some COVID issues, and thank God that this approval has come out, and I think it's going to turn a lot of people away from being very skeptical about the vaccine, the vaccination, and probably move them forward and turn some heads and make some positive outcome in the percentage of people being vaccinated. Certainly hope so.
John, you've seen this on my Facebook page and to some extent on the Coast Vue page, but I have, I've been very consistent about urging people to get the vaccine from the very beginning. I just felt like it's the one tool we have. And when you visit with people like Dr. Conger and, Kent Nico from Memorial and Lee Bond from Singing River Health Systems, you can't help but come to the conclusion that, as our governor says, this current wave is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and I've really pressed hard. And what I've seen is, of course, you got the anti-vaxxers that are going to kind of weigh in because they feel for some responsibility, whatever. I don't know what's guiding them, but they feel a responsibility to really make their points made. But the good news is this Kaiser study that was done showed that there was still a large number of undecided people. They're just trying to sort through all the misinformation and make the best decision for them. And I looked this morning at the rise in vaccinations. I mean, there has been a very, very, very substantial uptick in vaccinations. So I think as people get their head around the current, Delta variant and the difficulties that people are having with it, I think it's really driving people to get out there and get vaccinated. And that is a really, really good move in the right direction for us to get ourselves out of this mess. That's still is the one tool we have. And you said you were dealing with it yourself. Do you have family members or employees that have had to deal with COVID?
Yes, sir. We've just got a couple of situations with employees that are out right now in either quarantine or one employee with the virus right now, but a couple out with quarantining because they were in close contact. I can't tell you how many people or friends that I am close to that either have it or have had it or are still dealing with it, way more so than back a year ago. And it seems to be worse to those that certainly aren't getting vaccinated and thinking they've got this figured out. Well, lo and behold, we just realized we lost another dear friend to it. And it seems that every one of them, Ricky, every single one that once they're in that bed struggling for breath, they all say, I wish I would have listened. And I haven't heard one say, I'm still okay with it, that is really down. Even if they come out of it, Ricky, they're all saying, I wish I would have listened. And why wait till you get to that point before you the facts and understand it is really a lot safer than most people understand or realize. It's certainly a lot safer than if you got it and what the virus. And one thing I will add to that, Ricky, is the people that got it last year, the long-term adverse effects that they're still dealing with that we don't know about certainly are way greater than any adverse effects from the virus or the vaccine itself.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, I like you got to look at the data. The data is absolutely compelling. I mean, if you look at the data that's coming out of the local hospitals, that should get your attention. But when Lee Bond, and then I had the opportunity to visit with some of the critical care nurses at Singing River Health System, one guy who his last words before he went on the ventilator and then ultimately died, his last words were, I wish I had not listened to my Facebook friends. I mean, you hear that over. Dr. Conger, Nicholas Conger, infectious disease doctor from Memorial, has said, repeatedly on my show that the one thing that's just the same. It's the same thing that you just said, John. That this one sort of like common link with all of these people is this, what he refers to as bedside regret. They wish they had gotten the vaccine and now it's too late. And I think as we know people who are either dying or have been challenged, I think is even someone who may say, I'm not going to get a vaccine, but then they know someone who's really in difficult time. I think it's hitting home with people, and they're making the decision. Wait a minute, I gotta go get the vaccination. I mean, I hope that more people will do that, don't you?
Yes, sir. And I guess going back to social media and you're talking about Facebook and anything else where you're getting misinformation, please, everybody, stop and understand. Read up on where that information is coming from, because a lot of times it's just hocus pocus stuff, not true, and it's just scare tactics. Why they're out there, I don't know, but more than anything, a smartphone is a wonderful thing for a lot of people. It can give you a ton of information right at your fingertips, but it's also can be a terrible tool for those that want to select and be very selective in what they read and what they believe. It's just you gotta weed through that stuff, and everything you read out there is not true, whether it be pro-vaccination or con-vaccination. We're starting to find out every day moving forward that there's more pros to the vaccination than there are cons. And certainly with the Delta variant right now, everybody needs to wake up and understand, get vaccinated.
No doubt about it. John, one of the things that lingers about you when I think about you, not only from our last conversation, but from knowing people like Jamie Bates, who I think is a terrific example of the 1,000 points of light that I talk about all the time. I mean, he's working with homeless and emergency response to disasters and whatever. But you're right there with him. The thing that impresses me about you is that you have understood, and so many leaders, business leaders in coastal Mississippi get this, that the way to build a strong business, if you build a strong business, well, first of all, the way to build it is you got to stay connected to the community. You can't stay connected to the community and learn what you learn and not, as you grow your success, give back to the community. That drives you, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Jamie's, I call him Little Jesus, from the bottom of my heart. He's out there in the front line whenever there's anything going on, whether it's COVID, whether it's a flood, whether it's a storm. It doesn't matter. He's out there, and I try to be a disciple for him, and I try to be just one of his many arms that are out there and help him in any way I can. It's just something God's called me to do, and he was very instrumental, and he even took me out in the woods, Ricky, and we went out to some of the homeless camps.
Let's do this. Let's go to the end. This segment's over. When we come back, I want you to tell me about Jamie taking you out in the woods. And then I want to ask you about air purification, something you're really focused on. So when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with John Rea.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I just picked up my phone. I'm having a conversation with John Rea, but John, I'm looking, and just while we've been on the phone, so many people reaching out to me asking about my granddaughter. I really appreciate it. She's doing great, but I do appreciate the large number of people who have kept my family in your prayers. I really appreciate that. John, so we were talking about Jamie Bates, and you said during the break, I want to say this on air, but Jamie Bates, I had the opportunity to work with him at the Sun here for a number of years. You know, I was moving too fast in my prior world. You know, I don't have all this business responsibility now. I'm focused just on trying to bring as much focus to positive stuff as I possibly can. But what I've learned about Jamie, even after working with him all these years, is he really puts his energy where his mouth is, doesn't he?
Yes, sir. Ricky touches, should touch everybody when you meet this guy. It's genuine. He's up front. He's going to be on the front lines no matter what the need is in our community, whether it be a burglar in the neighborhood, whether it be a flood, whether it be COVID, it doesn't matter. He's going to be out there trying to take care of the community and looking out for the community. And the one thing about Jamie is there's not many of him. He is going to organize. He's going to step forward when everybody else is talking. He's going to walk the walk. And he's a great man to get behind because you always know when you wake up in the morning that he's going to have something on his plate that we're out there trying to help the community with.
Yeah, and we don't have time for it because I want to make sure we talk about the feeding healthcare workers. But he took you in the woods to show you the homeless community because he knows where they all are, and he makes no. I mean, he literally could draw a map on where the needs are, and he's staying in touch with what those needs are and trying to match those needs with people who can give. It's just incredible. I'm glad to hear you're kind of matched up with him. You and he are doing some work now to unleash another effort to feed healthcare workers, which is what you guys did during the last wave. What's the latest on that?
Well, we just got back together because of this, more and more nurses are being called from secretarial duties where they might be well into their career and being asked to get back on the floor and help with all of the needs with vaccination or infusions. And more so now than ever, we are going to step forward in the next couple of weeks, put this thing together. It kind of slowed down when things started turning in the right direction with the last wave. But now that this thing's back in front of us like it is, we are going to be, we've been in touch with Ochsner, Singing River Health Systems, Biloxi Hospital, Gulfport Memorial. We're going to be out and in touch with those guys real soon, and we're going to get all of these healthcare workers a hot meal. We're going to figure it out. We're going to need some help. We're going to need some help from our community leaders, and we're probably within a month away of actually cooking some hot meals for these guys or these women and men that are up front and fighting this war with us.
As just a show of appreciation, I shared a wonderful note from someone this morning, just an absolutely special note about healthcare workers and us to keep them in our hearts and prayers. Boy, do they need our help. What I witnessed the other day was beyond the Call of Duty, a war zone. Hey, John, real quick before we leave, you've got a technology that you're using to purify air. Real quick, what's the headline on that?
Ricky, it's been around for some time. You've seen UV lights and how it kills germs and viruses, but now we've got something from Inspired Technology that actually kills viruses in the air as well on surfaces. So a simple machine put in your HVAC system or a unit on your wall that recirculates the air and purifies the air and kills mold, mildew, viruses, anything in the air, but not only on the air, we've got a product that kills it in the air as well as on surfaces. So all of these school districts that are struggling with having to shut down, a lot of these school districts have yet to make the substantial investment in something of this sort that actually is an answer rather than a Band-Aid. So if any school districts are out there, please get in touch with us about what this incredible opportunity is to use some of these federal funds to actually solve a problem rather than put a Band-Aid on it. You know, putting a mask on, putting gloves on certainly helps, but over 50% of indoor air quality is poor. And if you're increasing your air quality, 90% of the time we spend indoors. So why wouldn't we be concerned about that air quality indoors? Everybody understands that if you're going to go outdoors and have a public event, there's not near as much concern. But if you're going to be indoors and you've got people together, air quality is certainly something that we need to be looking at first, not last.
Well, John, thanks for bringing that up. That's obviously something we all should be thinking about. And man, God bless you for your continued community leadership. Congratulations on holding your own through the pandemic and on your expansion. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. Tell Wes and Jake we said hello, and let's come back together again in a month or so and see how things are going.
Keep doing the good work, Ricky. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to also talk more about how we can help you as soon as you got more details on feeding healthcare workers. So without any further ado, really enjoyed that conversation with John. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.